This is Alcohol Freedom Finders. We often chase a sudden epiphany when we stop drinking, waiting for that one magical morning when the clouds part and we instantly feel transformed. But as we discover this week with our guest Jason Shutt, the real breakthrough is often much quieter. Jason shares how he didn't feel that lightning bolt immediately. In fact, it was only when he tried to step back into his old life that he truly realised the peace and clarity he had gained by leaving alcohol behind. Jason's an old friend of mine. We've known each other for 30 years and partied together on and off over those years. In this episode, we talk about that journey. We discuss the fear of losing the reward and the difference between a dopamine rush and genuine happiness, and the amazing ripple effect of choosing a different path. It's a wonderful, honest conversation. Welcome to the show. Welcome everybody to Alcohol Freedom Finders with me, Barry Condon, and my wonderful colleague, Justine Clark. Today we have with us a very old friend of mine, Jason Shutt, who joined us last year a couple of times for our Freedom Finders 30-day program. And we're really delighted to have him on the show, and he's going to tell you all about that sort of thing and a bit about his life.
Hi everyone.
Hey Jason, it's really exciting to have you here. And I think one of the things that Barry and I have enjoyed most about our own journey as alcohol freedom finders is the ripple effect, that we're starting to be able to see other people transform their lives through the work as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to becoming an alcohol freedom finder?
Yeah, thanks very much. I suppose growing up, my relationship with alcohol was pretty standard. There was the odd dallying with it as you grow up and sort of finding your feet with alcohol in general, drinking here and there on the park benches and at the parties and stuff when you're a kid. But I never really felt like there was any issue with it. And then as I grew up, I moved to France, where I originally met Barry, and lived in a ski resort, which basically was intrinsically linked with sort of partying and having a great time, and alcohol was obviously a big part of that. And again, I never really sort of thought to myself, oh yeah, that's a problem. Just the usual sort of experiences of a little bit too much at times, but some good, some bad. It's just pretty much like everybody else. And as I moved through my life, just with the introduction of my family and stuff, I just started to question myself a little bit with my intake and just how it was affecting me, how it was affecting the others around me, basically. And I just decided to do something about it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's such a common tale, that idea of you're introduced to it, everyone around you's drinking, you do it before it's legal, everyone does it, it's the culture, it's normal, there's nothing wrong with it. And quite often, you're surrounded by people who do it a lot more than you, are better at it than you are. I know that in the Alps, when you and me were a bit of the lightweights, and there were some big lads who could drink us under the table and usually did. And you sort of think of, if anyone's got a problem, it's them. They're the ones who drink loads. We were just sort of, my only problem, I used to say, was that I couldn't drink enough. I was a bit of a lightweight. But it's interesting, yeah, did you find that, for instance, the responsibility comes that your reason to drink changes, that it's not just sort of drinking with the lads and partying. Did you find that you gave, as we sort of say, you gave alcohol other jobs in your life?
I think that what I found was that alcohol was masking emotions, I think, and also sort of clouding my thought process and my judgment at times. And I didn't really notice that until I actually took the decision to have a period off drinking, and then even then it was very slow to sort of to appear to me in terms of, I expected this sort of epiphany sort of situation where, oh yes, I feel so much better, I'm so clear-headed and everything else because I don't drink anymore. Well, that didn't happen. So first time I sort of started to not drink, I had an 8-month period without drinking, and I thought, oh yeah, okay, I feel great, and And yeah, everybody said, "Oh, you must feel amazing and stuff." And I was like, "Well, yeah, okay, yeah, it's all right." And it was only after then had a period where I started drinking again. I'm when I say I'll start drinking again, I sort of listen to myself and think to, oh, maybe I sound a bit like an alky, like sort of drinking first thing in the morning till last thing at night sort of thing. But it's not like that. It's just when I say start drinking again, you have a glass of wine with the evening meal. Glass of wine turns into a couple of glasses of wine that evening. That sort of thing happens every night of the week till you get to the weekend. Then you have a big night on the weekend, recover on the Sunday, and then go back to work and start all over again. And you just don't really realize this sort of consumption and everything. So it's only when I started drinking again that I realized the difference between the non-drinking me and the drinking me. And I think it was at that point I had the moment in my head where I said this is going to stop, and that's when I made the decision to quit drinking altogether.
And it's a really good way of telling the story of how alcohol is really insidious, and it takes over your life by stealth. We're not aware of it because society so accepts it, and it's the thing that people do at weekends. But it's only when you have time to take that pause or have a 30-day break or an 8-month break that you realize that actually the majority of the time you were dealing with the after effects of alcohol. And if you say what you said then, which is you sort of have this 4-day around the weekend, we're looking at about 50% of our lives where we're either drinking or recovering from drinking or thinking about drinking. And that's where you start to put into question, is alcohol serving me the way I think it is? What was your biggest struggle with adapting or making the change from being a drinker to going, what, I'm going to give this a rest?
I think the biggest barrier almost is at the end of the day, alcohol is intrinsically linked with every single thing you do. You go out for lunch, glass of wine or beer, or you finish work, you go for a few beers. Even like I said about skiing and stuff, lunch on the mountain, again, wine and beers, and it's all flowing, fresky, mulled wine, and that's only the start of it. So, and even just like anything or any sort of reward that you have, alcohol is intrinsically linked to it. And so I think that maybe you have this barrier where you think you're no longer going to have that reward. So you've been working hard all week, you have a beer at the end of the week to sort of like kick back and relax. Well, you maybe think, oh, well, if I'm not going to have that beer or those beers or that interaction with my friends at that point and stuff, then you're going to be missing out on something. Or so that barrier then automatically comes, oh, well, I'll just have one. And then find out you're just having a couple. And like I said, then you get home and you have a couple of glasses of wine with your meal, and before you know it, you drank a bottle, and then the cycle starts again. So I think that initially that barrier is probably the greatest, is that because you use it like a reward, you it's at that point where you think, well, am I not going to get that same sort of saying, well, reward, as I said, I'm using the word again, but you're getting that reward from something for whatever it is, whether it being having done the exercise, whether it being having done the hard work over the week, or whatever it is, really.
Yeah, no, I get that so much. I mean, the like we said before, it's everywhere. It's our culture builds all our downtime around drinking. That's what you do at the end of the day. That's what you do at a party. That's what you do at a get together. That's what you do if you're feeling down, or if you're in every situation. There's a reason. Society has built a reason to drink, and that because of the dopamine that it brings up in us, we get that reminder every time when there's an opportunity to drink. Your your dopamine memory triggers you, pushes you, and gives you that urge, saying there's a reward here, go for it. And it's so sort of counterintuitive to think, well, actually, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't see myself in that way. I don't see myself as having this sort of, problem where I drink during the day, or a problem where I can't, where my life is completely falling apart. That I sort of vision of people on a park bench, brown paper bag, drinking a bottle of whiskey. That's what I sort of thought. And I was never anywhere near that. But eventually, when you start to sort of question yourself, and particularly if you can take a time away from it, give yourself that sort of 30-day break, or like you did with a few months, and if it takes going back to it and trying it back on again, you'll see the difference is really stark. But it can be very difficult to feel the benefits immediately, because they are sort of gradual, and we have this sort of fading effect bias that they talk about, that we sort of romanticize how things were, and the dopamine works on you and thinks you're missing out and all that. So there's a lot of sort of psychological work to be done before it can feel great in every situation. So how have you sort of dealt with that for yourself? How have you sort of got yourself back out there and go to these events and feel that you do belong, and that you can relax, and that it is still a reward to maybe have an alcohol-free beer? How have you done that?
Yeah, I think the way that I did it was to become more informed, really, to understand, like you say, the things that are happening in your brain, and the things, and really that's the sort of information I got from you guys, which helped me along the way. Basically, like you said, the dopamine in your head is wanting you to have that reward, it is wanting you to have that drink, to have that sort of that dopamine high, or the dopamine rush, or whatever you want to call it. So see, it's really helped me to become aware of that side of it, and to become aware of other ways to feed it, I suppose, whether sort of naturally, and whether that be through interactions with my kids and other people, and or being able to do other things. So what was I going to say?
Look, I just love what you've said. Actually, I love that what you said about being able to spend time with the kids, because what I was thinking about reward is we're trying to match up the reward we used to get, the quick reward from alcohol, the quick dopamine release, and we're trying to sort of equate that in our alcohol-free life. But actually, there's another hormone called oxytocin, which is like a real overarching feel-good hormone that is actually more sustainable, more long-lasting, and ultimately more fulfilling than the roller coaster ride of dopamine that we're all chasing at the moment with our phones, with alcohol, with sugar. So what you get with an alcohol-free life, you may not get the spikes of little rewards of the drink at the end of the day, but what you get is this overarching sense of well-being and rightness in the world, the sort of energy to play with your kids, the energy to, I know that like me, you have also moved all the way across the world. So there are different types of rewards, aren't there, Jason?
Yeah, for sure. As we sort of touched on, I used to live in France, which is where I originally met Barry, but I then also, while I was there, met my wife, who is a Kiwi from New Zealand, and we've been in New Zealand now nearly 10 years, and yeah, when I decided to move from a place where obviously I felt as at home and very, very comfortable, I decided that I also needed to maybe to change some of my ways. And if I hadn't been able to, if I hadn't done that, then I don't think I would have been able to actually to make the move. When you sort of moving halfway across the world, there's lots of challenges that come about, whether it be sort of making new friendships, finding a new job, just building. I've built a house here, As I said, my children have started to grow up. They were only 1 years old and 1.5 years old when we moved here. I just don't really think that I could have done that in still drinking. I just felt that I was missing, one, I was missing out on so much, and two, I was making life quite difficult for myself. So eventually, as I said, I touched my toe in the water for 8 months. Saw what it was like on the other side, and then, as I said, I decided to jump straight and jump fully in and fully immerse myself in actually just not drinking at all. And I think it's the best thing I've ever done. Really, I definitely feel that it is a really, really good decision, and said not the easiest thing to do, but definitely very, very rewarding at the end.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think that's yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear that whole how it all changed for you. And what advice would you give to someone else who's maybe in that situation where they're beginning to question their drinking and beginning to think maybe there is another way, but are perhaps thinking, what would I do for kicks? How would I enjoy life? How would I fit in socializing? What would you do to help them reframe that those thoughts?
Yeah, I think, as we discussed a little earlier, alcohol is unfortunately linked with everything we do, and so unfortunately, making that break from it can be difficult. The way I did it was to allow myself to have 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 some time off, basically, not become reclusive, but certainly cut myself off from certain situations where things might be a little bit too tempting, or yeah, there might be a little bit too much peer pressure, or just the pressure in general that you maybe don't need, and allow yourself basically a little bit of you time, a bit of time, just to yeah, have fun on your own. And then a good way is to maybe just then reintroduce sort of like situations with maybe one person or just a couple of people, rather than being in a big group or a big party or anything like that. And then obviously after that, you can use things like, non-alcoholic beers or non-alcoholic wine, or if you don't want to be seen drinking soft drinks and stuff like that, or if you feel that people will question you more, oh, you're not drinking tonight or whatever else, and then you have to go and either make excuses, or if you feel confident enough, obviously talk to the person about it. Then yeah, none the new alcoholic beers that every single beer developer now is pretty much offers one. Nobody even knows. I went to a party the other day and stood there drinking beer and whatever else, and nobody was the wiser. So these sort of things are really, you don't have to be missing out. You can still be there. The party, you can just miss out on the boring bits, which tend to be a little bit later in the evening when everybody keeps repeating themselves and not being able to get their words out in any way, shape, or form. So you can have all the good bits, which are in the early evening when you're talking to people and getting into the spirit of things, and then sort of steer away from the other bits, which maybe aren't
Yeah,
so good.
100%. And I think, like I was saying earlier about reward, we're looking to trying to replace how we were socially with something new that's going to make us equally comfortable. But if you give yourself, like you have done, time to step back and slowly do things with a friend or a couple of friends or close friends before you launch into big party, you realize that actually you do parties differently. And yes, it's going to be orcs when you go into a big group. I went to my daughter's pre-ball last week and I didn't know anybody. It was a big party. Everybody was drinking and I was like, oh, this is orcs. I will talk to a few people, talk to the people I knew and felt comfortable with. And then when my daughter's settled, I'm not going to just drink because there's alcohol here. I'm going to go. So you sort of start to take away not just the shame of drinking, but the shame of not drinking. And you start to,
The other thing is I reframed it a little bit, and so at times I'm happy to be the nominated driver and stuff, and people go, oh, I really want to go. Oh, well, I'll drop you home, no problem. Oh, will you? Oh, I can get a taxi. No, I'll drop you in. It's no problem. So you also get that it's almost, I suppose, that as the dopamine rush or the serotonin or whichever brain drug you're looking for. You're getting that sort of feedback anyway because you're doing something else, which is sort of nice, or you're helping people out, or so there are things like that you can do as well. Even cooking the dinner and stuff like that. Actually, that you invite people to. Maybe you're a bit more with it. You can push the bat out a little bit. Maybe doing something a little bit more challenging, or yeah. So I just reframe it in slightly differently at times, and that helps me. Not think about really wanting to have a drink. Really, it's been a year now, and since I had a drink, and I don't notice it at all anymore. It doesn't really come into my head. It's just it's completely
Yeah, that's
gone.
fantastic. And I mean, I think like you said, the learning about it and understanding it, and I think that's something that we bang on about a lot. Is sort of being curious about what's that drink really meaning to you? What's behind it? What are you actually? Does it really make me happy? Does it really make me more confident? Or could it be that it's actually when I come down after having a drink, it makes you feel down for longer, and I'm only feeling happy because it's giving me a bit of relief from how I was feeling, or that does it make me more confident, or does it disguise my lack of confidence and actually make me feel less confident? It's just sort of a mask. It can be playing all sorts of different roles without you really being aware of it, because society normalizes it so much. And the more you understand and the more you realize that, even if you just break down the latest science, it'll show you that everything that you put in, anything artificial you put into your body to try and change the way you feel, your body will react to it and then expect more of it and leave you in a situation where you're actually depleted and everything's dulled, and you're generally feeling down, and then that sort of builds that cycle. And the more you can see it, you can think, oh yeah, well actually that's not going to be that's not the answer, that's not serving me anymore. Or maybe when you're 25 and full of rubber and magic, it's fine, and you'll bounce back every day and not notice it. But as you get to our age, then if it's not serving you, question it, take a bit of a time out, and hopefully the community and being with us for those 2 30-day sessions. Tell people a little about that. What was good about that for you?
Yeah, I think the 30-day sessions are really great because it just allows you to just to have a go. So there's no pressure. It allows you just to start to think, oh, okay, well, I suppose get in touch with some of your emotions, some of your thoughts, gain information, which helps you then get a little bit of an understanding, and then you can use that for yourself, and actually start to question things and start to say, oh, like you said, whether it's serving you anymore, whether it's actually what you want to do, or whether you're just doing it sort of as a natural habit at the end of the day. Not an addiction, it's just a habit. It's just ingrained into you over a period of time. It's something that you just do day in, day out. We're creatures of habit, and that's what we do. So it allows you just to question those habits, and it also allows you to imagine life without drink, and without those sort of pressures to have a drink with every single thing you do.
What I love the most about what you've said then is it reminds me that all of a sudden it stops being about alcohol and starts being about how do I live the best version of my life. So it gives you an opportunity to start looking at your life without alcohol in it. And then you realize how much more you might get from doing it that way. So it sort of creates that pathway, that opportunity for trying to work out what you really want from this short time on the planet. So we've reached that time in the podcast where we ask our guests what 3 words best describe becoming an alcohol freedom finder for them. Have you thought about your 3 words?
Well, I haven't. I missed that on the email. Let me think. 3 words. Well, I mean, I suppose one of the words is definitely freedom. I mean, it's in the title. That's it, and it's freedom from freedom for lots of things. But the main thing is to do what you want to do rather than what something is influencing you to do. So obviously that thing being alcohol, but it can be lots of things. It can be your phone. It can be, for some people, obviously drugs or whatever else. So freedom is definitely, for me, one of the words. That thing, freedom, 3 words. You'll have to cut this one up, won't you? Emotions. So it allows you to become a little more in touch with your emotions. When you start to look at yourself, you then also, especially when kids are involved, but I think also with your relationships in generally in life, you start to look at your emotions a bit more, or alcohol basically, I think anyway, alcohol that dulls your emotions. So when you stop drinking, and then you definitely become a little bit more in touch with those. Whether there's something there that you can control, or that you can deal with, is another question. But definitely becoming more in touch with your emotions is something that's a really good side effect of not drinking. And after that, I'll just say happiness.
Perfect.
Because I'm really pleased that I made that decision, and I think my family are as well. So that's
No, that's good. Freedom,
So
emotion, and happiness. Really good, Jason. Well, it's been really great talking with you, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll see you soon, hopefully. So thanks a lot.
yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for everything. So as I said, those 30-day programs, great for getting all these sort of things started, and it's really something that helped me in my journey, as they say. And it's really great.
And I
Thanks,
must say,
guys.
Jason, you are looking very fresh, very energized, very handsome. So it's almost like instead of going on a detox, go and join our 30-day program and look 10 years younger.
Wow, that's it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Justine. Thanks.